All right. Greetings, my friends. This is Ryan Groney. And grace, mercy, and peace from him who is and was and is to come. Very soon, I suspect. So, France, Manu over in France has apparently enacted some health passports. It's the 15th of July. It's early in the morning, apparently. This happened yesterday. And the French are protesting these restrictions. This is from The Hill. French President Emmanuel Macron announced the new health pass earlier this week, which will be required to enter restaurants, shopping malls, or hospitals and board trains or planes. Now, depending on what article you look at, where these things are going to be required at, where these health passes are going to be required at, is going to be is like some I've heard shops, but what exactly do they mean by shop? If you're talking about like any businesses, are we talking about grocery stores now? I mean, I haven't seen that specified, but I mean, apparently you're going to need one of these health passes to enter restaurants, shopping malls, or hospitals. So now, like, and in the case of a hospital, I mean, if it's an emergency and you haven't been vaccinated and you got hit by somebody who had a seizure after they'd been vaccinated, I mean, are they not going to let these people? Are they not going to admit these people if they haven't been vaccinated? I know in Canada they're refusing to admit people that wouldn't wear a mask in Nova Scotia. And so this would be something this is like starting to look an awfully lot like the mark of the beast now. Okay, we know that this is like, and it's not everywhere. This is the most stringent application of this concept that I've seen yet. But we know they're rolling out these variations everywhere. And we know now that in France, your ability to buy or sell is going to be starting starting in early August, it sounds like, which is a couple weeks from now. Your ability to buy or sell in France, if you have not been variolated, is going to be severely curtailed. And it's not like these things, it's not like when they get to herd immunity. I mean, when they get to herd immunity, it should be like, at that point, it should be irrelevant. Assuming that was actually a real thing. And also, I mean, it should be irrelevant already. Because if it's widely available, then and you go out and you get sick, then that's on you. And if you get sick, and if you spread it to somebody else and they get sick and they haven't been vaccinated, then that's on them too. Okay? So, this whole idea that, but I mean, so at this point, this should be all the way over. This should be irrelevant. If everybody can get it if they want it, then that should be the end of the story, but it's not. And it doesn't matter how many percentage of the population, of any particular population that they say has gotten variolated. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to. It appears that you're going to have to prove that you've been variolated in order to buy or sell. So this is, so we've moved from the realm of theoretical to we're actually seeing this um, really heavy-handed enforcement mechanism. We're starting to see this come into play in certain places. Now in Israel, I don't know how carried away they got with it, but they had some sort of pass that you had to get. But it was like whenever they would describe the places that you couldn't have access to, it was always pretty trivial stuff, like the gym or the you couldn't go to a concert, or maybe you couldn't fly. Okay, it was never like grocery stores or just like shopping for things that you need on a daily basis. But now we're talking about shopping malls and hospitals in France, and restaurants, board trains or planes. I think in one article I saw that included that was like bars and all the usual trivial stuff, reasonably trivial stuff. But in addition to that, shopping malls, hospitals. So Macron also mandated that all healthcare workers in France must be fully vaccinated by September 15th, or they will be suspended without pay. So I guess Macron runs the hospitals in France. I guess he has that kind of power. That's crazy. Okay, you guys. That's not nutty to the nutty extreme. That you would have one man would have that much power. So maybe Macron is the Antichrist. When I was still a Trump supporter, and before I began to think that maybe it was Trump that was the Antichrist, Macron used to be one of my favorite targets for disparaging in that way by saying that he was the Antichrist. But I don't know. Maybe they all are. Or maybe they're all just puppets of the Antichrist. And we're about to see who it truly is. But anyway, like I say, this is coming perilously close to the textbook definition of the mark of the beast. So we'll keep watch, keep your eye on it. I mean, I'm still not going to say definitively one way or another that it is or that it isn't. Because meanwhile here in Brigadoon, here in Nebraska, where the N stands for knowledge, our governor has been going around to various communities, typically far out into the way western end of the state, in these really sparsely populated areas. He was in Gothenburg yesterday. He'll be in Gering today. And he's holding these little town halls. Now, there's no mention of 91 Divock or burial relations or anything like that. What the press has been talking about, and really not so much the press, but the governor himself has been trying to kick up a big fuss about, is these the state school board has these proposed health education standards, and also apparently they're kicking up some stuff about this critical race theory, which the best thing to do about stuff like that is to ignore it. So the best thing when these guys do this is just to ignore it. Whenever they're talking about, whether it's critical race theory or these standards, the first draft of the standards made public in March have been controversial, as the human development and growth section includes lessons about gender identity, gender stereotypes, and other topics for elementary school children. Now, obviously, this is the type of thing that they should not be addressing in schools. Okay, since they're doing, I mean, especially since they're doing such a bang up job of teaching people how to read and write. I mean, they've done so well and all that, and teaching people math, you know, teaching people, teaching kids what they should be teaching them and not what they shouldn't be teaching them. Since they've done such a great job of that, obviously, you would want your kids to like listen to what some, pervert teacher has to say about, gender identity or gender stereotypes, all that nonsense. Now, but here's the thing. The standards, if approved, would only be recommended for adoption by local school districts. Okay, so if you've got a school board with balls and a principal, they got their administration, their school's administration, the superintendents and the principals and the other decision makers under control, then obviously you wouldn't even take this up. You just fucking ignore it, which is what they should do, which is what they do. But the whole purpose of this is the whole purpose of these town halls, and obviously they've got these proposed health education standards is to keep people distracted from this. Okay, this is way more pressing and important because even though it doesn't appear like even though everybody here thinks that this can never happen here, I mean, my sincere belief is that they're gonna find themselves sorely mistaken. So I'm gonna go talk to the governor today. Except I'm not too concerned about this critical race theory or these health standards, this transgender nonsense that they're gonna try, even if I did have kids in school, I'd talk to my school board. I'd talk to somebody on the school board. I'd call them up. I'd call up the principal and say, don't you dare be pushing this nonsense on my kids if I was concerned about it. Now, I suspect in most of these communities that he's going to, that most people are like, that this isn't even something that they would even, that everybody is pretty much on the same page. Okay? And that's why he hasn't gone to Omaha or Lincoln. Because he wants to, distract people away from what's going on with what they're about with them, whether they actually have plans on trying to pull something like this. So I'm gonna go and see if Governor Ricketts intends to protect our kids from unsafe and completely ineffective 91 DIVOC variations. So, like, share, subscribe. I'm out, guys. Peace.